This is Goku-san DBZ, and welcome back for a new game review. This is a game, of course, that I've been trying to get into playing for a while, and this is the review for, of course, the first exclusive for, of course, the newest platform, Google Stadia. And this is the review, first official game review for Google Stadia. So with that said, first of all, I want to say, like from what I could tell, seeing the animation style of the game overall, it definitely harkens back to games such as Little Nightmares. It's probably the best game I could describe it. Horror aspect, but at the same time, it's trying to an extent to be family friendly, I guess you could say. Now, first of all, why would I personally rate this given it doesn't have a traditional rating on the game? There are times I would say definitely probably 13 and up, though I could see maybe getting away with a 10 and up rating, but personally I would probably rate the game 13 and up. Just my own personal opinion on the game, however. And with that said, yeah, it's a puzzle platform type game, and you kind of expect it given it is an indie developer, more or less, with Google. And the fact that, of course, their previous game they worked on was Little Nightmares, so it's no surprise that from the art style, direction, and things in the game, it's understanding why it feels so much like the game Little Nightmares, because it's the same studio that made Little Nightmares. So it makes a lot of sense when you think about it from those contexts. And with that said, gameplay-wise, it doesn't play like Little Nightmares, which Little Nightmares more or less play like 2D type gameplay-wise aspect, more like games like Inside or Limbo, games of that nature, and of course like Ori and the Blind Forest, stuff like that. This game does not play like that. It's a free roam. I guess the only game I can really think of this year that the free roam kind of reminds me even a dash similar to, it's probably the game which I've done a playthrough of and uploaded on my indie playlist, and that is Sea of Solitude, which is one of my personal favorite games of this year. Um, that's good. I like that at least it has more free roaming aspect like Sea of Solitude, but it does importance on definitely on certain elements. It really does at certain points rely a decent amount on puzzles, though they aren't super complex puzzles to be fair. Not at all. Pretty much like Sea of Solitude, though, I think there's maybe a little bit more complexity to the puzzles in GYLT rather than in something like Sea of Solitude. Um, but there will be on occasion you will find yourself backtracking in the game, kind of a little bit like the indie game, of course, Spirit of the North. And that's one thing I don't like is having to backtrack, but at least it's not necessarily to the same annoying extent of like parts of Spirit of the North. So that's a positive on that aspect of the game. Gameplay wise, I didn't really have any issues. I mean, maybe once or twice I had like a little hiccup in the game, but like nothing crashed or anything like that. But only a couple times did I have any sort of issue, and it was nothing major to really spoil the gameplay. So that's a positive. Um, and I give it all around. I think it has played pretty good. There are elements, I think, with some of the hitboxes, but it's not like Spirit of the North bad on the hitbox issue. At least it's better overall done like that. And I expect they'll probably obviously patch it with a future updated version for the streaming service. So that's a matter of time until that probably gets fixed. Now, one quick, I've only played the game once, I'll have to play it more than once. Reason, the game has multiple endings. Specifically, 3 different endings. There's technically a good ending, I guess you could say bad ending, and then an alternate ending. And I don't know the definites of how you're supposed to get to the third ending yet. Now, I ended up with, I guess you could say, the good ending. It's all based on how you play the game to what kind of ending you're going to get. Now, one of the biggest things, gameplay mechanically speaking, for GYLT is your flashlight. That's going to be a key to the game. Flashlight, because one way you see around and stuff. Also, you'll need the flashlight for some of the puzzles that are involved in the game. And also, later on, you'll be able to get sort of like a power-up, I guess you could say, with your flashlight, where you'll be able to shine it and actually be able to, like, kill the creatures and stuff. But it's definitely parts of the game, like, you will be, like, teleported somewhere, so it's basically like the game doesn't wants you to avoid some of the creatures, even though you might be able to take them on and beat them. Now, with that said, as long as you can, like, plan things out ahead of time, and you see multiple creatures, if you can backtrack a little and have the creatures come at you one at a time with your, like, beam or laser flashlight, then you can pretty much demolish and beat all the creatures. There is one boss in the game that will prove to be somewhat of an annoyance, to be fair. The final boss of the game is honestly not super difficult. Not as some of the earlier on creatures that you will face. But still, I mean, it's an alright challenge, to be fair. So, which is why difficulty, I might consider this more towards like a 10 and up game. Though certain of the horror aspect elements of it, I would then probably consider 13 and up. With that said, for the most part, the game plays pretty solid overall, I think. I like the animation style, to be honest. That's one of my favorite parts of the game. And I could see myself coming back, playing it again, mainly just so I could get the other endings. But I enjoy it enough where I'm willing to play it more than once. But on a grading scale, what would I give GYLT as a whole? I'm probably give GYLT a... if I had to give a rating, I'm gonna give GYLT probably an A-. Not an A+ or anything, an A-. So like maybe a 9 out of 10. So yeah, I think the game is solid and really good, and I think it shows potential in Stadia. Now, we'll see in the future what other exclusives we can get on Stadia, but I think for a first exclusive title, I think actually GYLT is really solid overall. And I'd say GYLT is probably maybe my second favorite indie game of this year. Indie platformer type games that came out strictly in 2019. Definitely easily top 3 favorites for the year, hands down for me personally. With that said, leave a comment below and give me your feedback. Let me know, are you planning on picking up Google Stadia now or eventually when there's a cheaper version option available on PC and stuff? But I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. Happy holidays to everyone out there in YouTube land. And this is my very first ever actual game review for Google Stadia. But I think for a first outing, good job, Google. Good job. You give me a reason to want to play more, besides the fact that I really enjoyed Destiny 2 on Stadia as well. So at least there are reasons for me to want to come back to Stadia, and that's a positive. That's what you want in a product like that in order to be commercially successful. But anyways, enough talking a little bit business aspects. I'll see you all next time. I hope everyone out there has a good rest of December. Hope you enjoyed the music in the background from, of course, Mirror's Edge Catalyst. But I'll see you all next time.